Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you how we can make a CV reader and ranker for any business that is employing extra staff or is receiving a high volume of CVs. Now for this AI agent, we're going to build it on make.com. It's going to take in CVs via Gmail or any source that is taking the CVs from. It's going to read these CVs and then it's going to rank them and put them into an Airtable where the owner of the business or the recruiter can go and look through and they can have just a score of each CV and they can select just the top ones. Now, how this is useful for businesses is it saves a massive amount of time from reading through each CV, and it's also going to give them the opportunity to only read the top CVs, which in turn, if you're implementing this for a business, you're going to save them hundreds of hours. So that's what you will build them on. Okay, so let's get straight into it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to use is this app over here called make.com. If you're watching this video, you probably know what make.com is. If you don't know what it is, basically it's an automation platform where you can build via drag and drop very complex or even just simple automation. So what we're going to do here when we come over to make.com is we're going to go down here to scenarios. And we're going to come up here to the top right corner, click create a new scenario. And the first thing we're going to need to do when we're building this automation is we're going to need to use a Gmail module. Now, if you were to implement this for any company, they may have a range of platforms or softwares where CVs are coming in from. They may be coming in from Indeed, jobs.com, whatever. The majority of these platforms will forward the CV to an email. So that's where we're going to use the email module. Because the majority of businesses that are taking CVs in will receive them via Gmail. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look up email or Gmail. When we look up Gmail, we're going to select the watch emails module. Now what this is essentially going to do is whenever a new Gmail comes in, this module should trigger with the details of that new email. So we're going to select the folder, which we should just select all of the emails. You can see here all emails. Simple filter, criteria, all emails. Now that's the first module basically done. Okay, so now that we have the Gmail module in, we can go ahead and test this to see if it works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my emails. I'm going to write an email just to myself. I'm going to send over a CV just so we can see what this looks like on Make. So I'm going to say, here is my CV, and then I'm going to attach a CV. John CV, send this over. Now if we come back over here to Make, if I right click this, I choose where to start, come down here to select the first email, and I come up here, you can see this is the email that we just sent over. I will select that and then I will press run once. Now this is going to kind of show us what we're going to get from this. So you can see here we have a bunch of stuff that we don't really need to look at. The main things we need to look at is the attachments, which you can see we have John CV, the type of attachment, which in most cases it's going to be a PDF. And then if we go down here, we can see the sender, we can see any text content, so you can see the person's name, the subject, which is CV, and so on. So you get the idea. So we have the user's email and we have the PDF that they've uploaded. Okay, so now that we know the Gmail module is working and we're able to extract the PDF or the CV from the Gmail, what we need to do now is we need to basically get that PDF and put it into a prompt so our AI can rank this person and output a score and a reasoning to that score. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go over here and we're going to select Gemini. We're going to select upload a file. And what this is going to do is essentially take the email and it's going to take the attachment out of that email so we can use it in a prompt we will send to Gemini. So what we'll come over here and we'll look for the name in the attachments. So you can see here all of the stuff that gets output from the Gmail module. The majority of this stuff you will never use. So don't get too bogged down or worried if you don't understand it. But you can see down here in attachments, this is where we're going to find the attachment of the CV that was sent via email. So if I go in here, we can see Gemini is looking for the name and the data of the attachment. So if I go in here, we can see the file name. I'll select that. And then for the data, I will select data. Pretty straightforward. Now, whenever this Gmail module runs, it will come through here. This Gemini module will extract the PDF, and then we're going to use a Gemini create a completion module, and this is where we're going to feed the prompt. So this is where we're going to say, hey, we need you to rank the CV based on a certain amount of parameters, like if this person has good education, previous work experience, etc. Okay, so in here we need to select a model. The model I'm going to select is Gemini 2.5 Pro, and this is probably one of the more powerful models out right now. Now, when you're building this for a client, there's kind of two ways you can go about this for this module. You can choose a cheaper module, maybe like DeepSeek or something like that, if they're receiving a high volume of emails. Obviously, you want to use a cheaper module or a cheaper LLM, because if they're receiving a high amount of volume and you're constantly using an expensive module, then it's going to build up, and it's going to add up, and it's going to essentially charge you more, eating into your profits. So what we're going to use is we're going to use Gemini 2.5 Pro until a certain amount of emails come in. So maybe if the person or the recruiter or the real estate agent starts receiving a lot more emails, like maybe let's say over a couple of hundred a day, then we might tone it down and we might use a more cheaper module like maybe Gemini 1.5 Flash. But that's kind of how I determine which module I'm going to use. It kind of depends on the volume. If it's high volume, then obviously use a cheaper module. Low volume, then we can use a more smarter, more expensive module. But anyway, if we get into this, now we need to select user and we need to add a message. So we're going to use text, and we're going to essentially put in this prompt. We're going to tell this to rank the user. So what I've done is I've already created a prompt over here in Claude. And what I've said to Claude is, okay, now write me a prompt for my AI agent to rank applicant CVs for the real estate role I'm looking for. It must rank applicants and output just a score between 1 and 100%, with 1 being bad and 100 being good. It must also output reasoning as to why we gave that person that score, like why would they be a good fit, etc. So if we copy this prompt, which looks okay, we will copy this, come back over here, and we'll feed that into here. So there's our prompt. What we also need to do is we need to add a file. So if we come down here and we select another message, you can see in here, add an item. We will come down here, we will select file, and we'll basically put in the one that was just downloaded here. So when the CV comes in, come through to the download or upload a file module, and that's how we're going to input this into the prompt. So you can see here, it's looking for a MIME type, which you can find up here called MIME type, and it's looking for a file URI. We can find that over here called URI. Now, if we save that, this is basically ready to go. So it's going to rank the applicant by reading their CV, and that's basically the main job done. What we need to do now is we need to, whenever it ranks the CV, we need to put it into a sheet so the client or the recruitment agent or the real estate agent, the owner or whatever, can view this and view all of their CV applicants and a score for that CV. Now, I'll leave a link in the description, the first link in the description, where you can join my community. We put all of these templates in here, so you don't have to build them yourself, all the templates, all the prompts. So you can just download these and start working on these or selling these straight away. But now what we need to do is we need to kind of test this to see if it works. So for that email that we've already sent over, I'm going to run it on that again, and we can kind of see if this is doing the correct job. So I'll select the CV. And I'll press run. Okay, so we can see it running now. It is getting the email, it's uploading the file, and it's sending that file over to Gemini and telling it to rank this customer or rank this CV. Now, what Gemini should output is a score between 1 and 100, and it should also output a result as a reasoning as to why it gave that person that score. So if we click in here, we can see the result, which is, you can see it outputted in JSON format. It gave them a score of 5. And it said the candidate receives an extremely low score due to a pervasive lack of professionalism, relevant experience, and required qualifications. Strengths: the candidate is pursuing a business degree which has some relevance and possesses basic customer service experience from retail and food service roles, etc. So you kind of get the idea. Now, the CV that we've uploaded is this one, which is a purposely bad email. You can see up here we have John CV bad. We also have 2 other CVs, which is John's good CV and we have John's mid CV. You can see we've uploaded the bad one, it's detected that, and it's given this person a bad score. If we were to upload the good one, which we can do now, and we can test to see if it's able to detect that. So I'll come over here, I'll send an email over again, and we'll say CV John, and we'll upload the good CV this time, and we can see if it's able to differentiate between both of these CVs. So you can see here, here's John's good CV. I'll select that and we will send that off. And now if we come over here and we run this email agent on the good CV, it should receive a score a lot higher than 5. So if we come in here and we run this agent again, we'll run it on John's good CV. As you can see here, this, and we will run this now. So again, it's just reading the email, uploading the file, and sending it over to Gemini to rank. And now the output should be something a little higher than 5 out of 100. Okay, so you can see it now outputted a new one for John's good CV, and you can see here he receives a score of 95. So obviously this agent is working now. It's able to detect a bad CV from a good CV. You can see here it says the candidate presents a very strong profile for an entry-level real estate agent position, strengths, relevant bachelor's degree with real estate concentration, a strong GPA, directly applicable, and a senior project focused on market analysis. So this is able to detect a good from bad CV. Now what we need to do is we need to add a module, and what we're going to do is we're going to add an Airtable module, and we're going to do create a record. Now what we're going to do with this Airtable module is we're going to put the outputs from this Gemini into this Airtable, so the client or the recruiter has a neat place to view all of the outputs, so it can see in a row all of the people that have applied and the score that we've given them. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here, we're going to go into Airtable, and we're going to create a brand new base. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to come down here to where it says create, and we will start from scratch. And this is going to be our base, where it will be the CV review agent. And in here, what we're going to do is we're going to put the first one as name. We can keep that the same. We will put the second one as the CV score, in which we will just leave that as single line text. We can delete these for now, the last two. And the last thing we're going to include is a link to the email. So this is essentially going to make it really easy for the recruiter or whoever we're selling this agent to kind of view the email, view the score, and then if they want to, they can view the email if they want to get back to that certain person. So what we're going to do is we're going to again use a link, which is, we'll use the URL, and then in here we will say link to applicants inquiry, and then we will create that field. So we have the 4 fields that we need now. So if we come back over here to make, I will delete this module. So we come back over here to make, I'll go and again I will select the Airtable module, and we will select create a record. And now in this create a record, we're going to select the base that we just created. So it's called CV review agent, which is that one. The table should be just table 1. And now we have to input all of these details. So for the user's name, it should be just the email that they sent the CV from. So it should be, you can see down here in the Gmail module, we have sender's name. I'm going to select the sender's name. And then for the applicant's email, we will select email address. And then for the CV scoring, it's going to be outputted from this Gemini module. So the Gemini module that's ranking it and giving the reasoning, we will select the result from that, and this will essentially fill up the reasoning and the scoring for that certain CV. Now for the link to the email of the person, if we come back down here to the Gmail module, we can go over here to where it says message link, and we can click that. Now if we click save, this is basically the full agent done. So for something that just took us, or could take you essentially 5 minutes, if you just download this and put it onto your Make account, you can essentially build this or download it within 5 minutes and start selling it that day for 1,000, 2,000, depending on how many emails your client is going to receive. That's kind of the power of AI automation. Although it seems very easy, you can imagine how much time this would save a recruitment agency. Like if they're answering or if they're receiving even just 10 to 15 applicants a day, to read through all of them could take an hour, 2 hours. If you're able to save a company 2, 3, 4 hours of a recruitment agency's time, you can bill them on at least half of that. So if you charge them 1,000, 2,000 a month, just run this agent, upload it for them, and you're making 2,000 a month completely passively. On their side, they've saved 50% on that person having to review all of them CVs. So it's a win-win in both scenarios for your client and for you. So if we run this now, we can kind of see the whole process working. So we'll run it on the good CV, then we'll run it on the bad CV, and we will see how this turns out. So if I go over here and I upload the good CV, I'll press that and I will run this now. It should extract the email, get the attachment, get the score and the reasoning to that CV, and then upload it into our sheet where we can review it and we can see it in a neat format. Okay, so that module finished, and then it's sent it over to Airtable. So if we come back over to Airtable, we can see the output that it gave us. So it gave us the person's name, the person's email. You can see the reasoning in here, which is the CV score. We can open this. It gives us the whole reasoning as to why this person got the score, and then down here you can see final ranking 95%. Now to make this a little neater, I'm going to come back over here to make, and I'm going to go into this module, and I'm just going to say always output the score of the person at the start of your output. Now what this should do is it would improve it a little bit. So in here we would essentially see the score first. So for example, if somebody got maybe 20% or 10%, then we could kind of just skip over it rather than having to click in here and scroll to the bottom and seeing what the score is. So but you can see exactly kind of how this works. It gives it a score and reasoning. We have a link here which will bring us over to the Gmail or the email of the person that sent it. So if we come over here, we can see the email, we can click into their PDF and we can see the CV that they've uploaded. Try this out again. I will try it on the bad CV, which should receive a lower score. So I'll come in here, select the worst CV, which is this one down here. I'll run that. Okay, so now that one has run, we can come back over here to Airtable. And now you can see it's outputting this score as the first line. So you can just skip through all of the CVs and see the first line as the score. So in this one, again, we've uploaded a bad CV. Person got a score of 5% because the CV is bad. And then you can see all of the reasoning as to why this person got a bad score. Again, a link to the email. That's basically the full build done. You can download this again in the first link in the description if you want to jump in the community. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. We've got a lot more videos like this coming. Make sure you stay tuned in.